Okay, guys and gals, we're glad you could join us tonight. We thank you for spending a few minutes of your evening with us, especially during this holiday week. And I am Bill Costaritas, and I've been doing this a long time. In fact, I doubt you will find very many people around that has traded in this space, the Globex as we like to call it, since inception. And also with me tonight, you'll see Woody typing in the room from time to time. And Woody is another one of our moderators and traders. And he came to us in an interesting way. He joined our service a few years back and began trading with us and became so enthralled with it, I guess is the best way to say it, that right after he retired, he is a rocket scientist and worked at NASA down in Florida for many, many years. After he retired, he decided to work with us, so we're happy to have him with us tonight as well. And if you'll hold most of your questions, he'll answer a lot of them, during the webinar. And we'll try to get through this fairly quick. We're not going to take up too much of your time. But real quick, because this will help me decide which way to take the conversation tonight, if you will. How many of you have traded in the Globex, and or which markets do you trade? All right, how many of you traded, for those of you who said you've traded futures, how many of you traded in the Globex, which is the electronic market that opens at 5 in the evening Central Time? By the way, all the times that I will use tonight will be Central Times. All right. I think for those of you who have never traded in this space, and even those of you who have traded the Globex, we have a very unique approach. We've been doing it, as I said, since inception. I think you'll find that there are very, very few people that have traded in this market as long as I have. So I think you'll find this, if I like to say personally that if you just get one piece of information from tonight's webinar, it's been worth your time, and I feel certain you will get one piece of information and several, hopefully, that you can use that will help you in your trading and or investing. All right. So the Globex, just real quick, for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's a CME product. It was introduced by Reuters Technology, and it is the grandfather of electronic trading. So in market terms, it's a very new market, if you will, to the world. Most people don't even know it exists. In fact, if you call your brokers, not futures brokers now, say you call your broker at Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley and say you want to open a Globex account, they're not going to have a clue what you're talking about for the most part. So it's a very interesting market. It has a lot of unique features to it that you don't see during the day or don't have advantages of during the day, and we're going to talk about those tonight. So originally, when the Globex was first opened, they would start trading at 3:30 in the evening, and as I said, now all these are Central Times, and it would go till 8:30 in the morning. Then it would shut down, and then they would start the U.S. trading, at 8:30 in the morning. And in those days, you could only trade the big S&Ps, the bonds, obviously most of the currencies, because that's what this market was originally developed for, was to accommodate Forex or currency traders that, were on the floor at night. And, the currency markets have always been, not always, but for the most part, 24-hour markets. So these fellows would be standing, guys and gals would be standing around, the floor at night with very little volume. So they came up with this electronic platform, and now it's grown today to be probably one of the most used and popular electronic platforms, in the world to trade on, not just in the U.S. It has changed, and so you need to understand these changes. The Globex opens at 5. Most folks don't realize this, but if you're trading futures, your day starts at 5 p.m. Central Time and goes till 3:15. They shut down for 15 minutes, and then there's a settlement and small time frame where they trade from 3:30 to 4:15. Then they shut down. This is to give the platforms time to, send out margin calls and calculate statements and, get all of their servers reset. Then they reopen at 5 o'clock. So literally, now with this Globex, and I know most of you know this, you just may not be familiar with it, you can trade 24 hours a day, and it's seamless. You can use the same platform that you trade futures on during the day to enter orders at night, and it is virtually seamless. You don't know the difference if you're familiar with the time zones. Now, why do I think that the Globex market is probably the place to trade, especially these days with high-frequency trading and computers during the day and the volatility? The Globex market is easier to trade because it's a slower-moving market at night. It trends better. And as I said just a second ago, you don't have these high-frequency trading programs, computer buy and sell programs that cause, in my opinion, a lot of the volatility that we see during the day and a lot of the ups and downs that, you're scratching your head over trying to say, what happened? Where did that come from? I'm not going to tell you that there aren't computers at night that put orders in, but it's not the computers, in the sense that you hear and see during the day. It's because these high-frequency trading programs especially, they require a lot of volume, as you know, and there's just not enough volume at night to accommodate these quant models that these mathematicians have created. Now, the trade signals that we're going to talk about tonight, they only work at night. And if you try to use them during the day, they're just not useful. So as we go through this, I will ask you to keep an open mind because it is a different market. It has its own set of rules and its own set of trading strategies. Also, because there's less volatility at night, you can use tighter stops. We use, for example, 2 to 2.25 point stops for the most part. 2.25 point stops, even if you have the market figured out during the day and have the direction right, you can get stopped out with 2.25 points with today's volatility, and it will happen often. So if you have less volatility, you have tighter stops, that means less risk. And we all want less risk with the opportunity of making money. Now, real quick, in addition to being able to trade in this market, and we'll talk a lot about that here shortly, it's also an excellent source for hedging. And if you go home during the day and you're very happy, as you might be right now with your portfolio, and it's performing up to your expectations and you're happy, things are going along like you want, and then you go to bed at night and you wake up in the morning, you find out there was a Lehman event, you find out that there was a tsunami in Japan, you find out that Greece might default on its bonds, or Dubai, or the list goes on. Many a time you turn on CNBC or Bloomberg in the morning only to find out that something has changed and looks like it could change the entire profile of the market, at least short term. And the Globex is the only place, guys and gals, where you can hedge your portfolio using the S&P, using the Dow, using the NASDAQ, whichever you prefer. We like the S&P because it has plenty of liquidity and movement, so it gives you an opportunity for more success by using the S&P versus some of the others that I just mentioned. So it is an excellent way to hedge a portfolio, and also it gives you an opportunity to maybe hedge a market might take the next day or in the morning could be different from what you expected. Because how many of you have gone to bed, and this is on a regular basis now, you find out that the PMI in China or that the employment numbers out of Germany, you know, and the list goes on there as well, or the BOJ in Japan has just provided more stimulus programs for their market, and the market gaps up in a big way or gaps down in a big way, and you're trying to figure out what's the best way to handle that move. So futures are the most effective way, and in the Globex is the only way once the U.S. market's closed to hedge your portfolio. So it's an excellent tool for hedging. So even if you're not going to trade in the Globex at night, even if you're not really interested, I will tell you, you should be interested so that in the event you need to provide a hedge for your portfolio, or you want to take advantage of some kind of news event that's taking place before the U.S. opens, this is the only place where you can do that. So I will say this, and I say it often. I know a lot of the folks that hear me from time to time are probably sick of hearing it. But we're in a 24-hour market. We all know that now. We're in a global economy. What happens in China can affect us in the U.S. What happens in the U.S. can affect the markets in Europe and vice versa. We all know we're in a global marketplace and a global economic system. So if you're in a global system, then the global markets on a 24-hour basis in the event that you need to. Now, in the 24-hour market, the Globex is 17 hours of valuable information and tools that if you're not taking advantage of that, you're missing a lot of information, you're missing a lot of opportunities that you could be taking advantage of on the 24-hour clock. All right, so let's talk about what's the difference between an average trader and a successful one. I know we've all asked ourselves that question from time to time, or we read about it and we think about it. And of course, the most important, and we all know this, you have to have an effective plan and a discipline. And after 24 years of doing this, we've developed what we call the NightScalper trading method. Now we're going to talk about key market times because those make a difference when you're trading in the Globex at night. Proprietary signals and indicators that will only help you in this market at night. These are not available anywhere but here. And as I said, if you try during the day like they do at night in the Globex. Greekisms. So for those of you who haven't figured it out yet, I'm, you know, third generation full-blooded Greek born in Mobile, Alabama. And we have probably one of the friendliest and most social chat rooms in the country. I will say that, because I've been involved in many a chat room. And they like to give each other pet nicknames. And the signals that I've developed, and that's what these are, trade signals, you know, that I have developed over the years, they have named them Greekisms, so that I'm sure term might confuse you. And this is the one where I find most traders fall short. And I cannot say this enough. If you do not have an effective money management system, a disciplined money management system, you're just not going to make money on a consistent basis. And that's what we're here about, is to do this on a consistent basis, because it does no good, you know, to have a big week and then lose it all back and then some. And I know a lot of you have seen that. All right, these are one of the major differences that you have to consider when you're trading at night, or key market times. Because, you know, at 8:30 till 3:15 during the day, the U.S. is in control. At night, that is not the way it works. Now, the Asian markets, or as we call it, the Asian session that starts at 5 and trades till midnight, those are the markets that will affect the S&P. Now, you have to remember that in our chat room and what we do, where we call live trades, We're only interested in those markets or in those events that move the S&P or affect the S&P. That's all we're interested in. So we try to identify those the best way we can. And the controlling markets that we have during the Asian session are the Hang Seng and the Nikkei. Now the Nikkei opens at 7, and then you have the Hang Seng follows at 8:15. It's important that you know those times and when they open, because the markets tend to move just before those markets open and close at the end of the night. So it's important that you know the Nikkei opens at 7, because a lot of the time you will see the S&P move in a reaction to the Nikkei opening up or opening down or any news that might come out before it opens, just like we do here in the U.S. Then we have the European session, and we define that as the one that controls the markets from 12 till 5 in the morning. Now, the controlling markets there are the DAX and the FTSE. To a lesser degree, you know, the Swiss markets, they're more of a trending market, but the ones that really move the S&P are the DAX and the FTSE, primarily the DAX because it's the largest economy in Europe, of course. We all know that, so that's to be expected. And, you know, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you will see the DAX and the S&P literally move lockstep together. So the international markets at night, they play a key role in how the S&Ps trade at night, much more so than during the day. To have the international markets control the S&P or affect it during the day, of course, you need big news. We're talking about on a regular basis. Now, to give you an example of this, a few years ago, you didn't really care about China's GDP or flash manufacturing numbers that come out, or their PMIs, we like to call it. And I mean, let's be realistic. You know, and people tend to forget this because they walk and talk like a capitalistic system, but it's a communist system. And, you know, a few years ago, we didn't pay attention to what happened in China, but now that they're the second largest economy in the world that just overtook Japan recently a few months ago, you better know, because how often do you get up in the morning, you turn on CNBC or Bloomberg, and they're talking about how the markets were affected positively or negatively. Just this week, they were affected in a positive manner by the numbers that came out of China. And we show you where to get that information and how to use that information. Now, I know most of you are thinking, well, I've got to know about, you know, Europe economics. I have to know about Asian economics. I have to understand what's going on in China. Guys and gals, it's not complicated. It's not a confusing mess to try to learn. The way we do it and the way we've set it up, it comes very easy. And in our chat room, you know, even if the information, you're not aware of it, chances are it's going to be available in our chat room, if not by us, by the members that we have. So pretty much our overnight trading window is from 5 p.m. till 5 in the morning. But, you know, our active time is really from, you know, 5 till 3 a.m. in the morning when the markets are active. Again, once you get to 5 o'clock, what happens is you start to have the effect of the U.S. market, and then the markets focus on what's going to happen in the U.S. So again, if you're not at least aware of what's going on in this market, even if you're not trading it, you're leaving 17 hours of valuable information on the table. All right, so these proprietary signals, I doubt you will see or have heard of these anywhere else. This is how we use our indicators at night that I have spent years developing. So we have pivot times, as I said before, when we know the markets should move and will likely move. For example, just before the DAX opens from 1:30 till, or I should say from 12:30 to 1 in the morning, you'll start to see a lot of movement in the S&P. Just before the DAX futures in Germany open. Again, around 1:45 to 2 when the cash markets in Europe open. Depth of market, the dome. Now, most all of you, if you have a futures platform, you have a dome that you trade on, and you're familiar with this. And we'll tell you how we use that particular instrument at night. And then there are other markets, even though we don't trade these markets, that we follow to help give us direction on the bonds, the yen, and the euro. All right, and the Greekisms. Now, these are observations that I have documented or have observed over 24 years of, trading and following markets. And as I found something that worked 80% of the time, and I think most of you know by now, if you can find anything that works 80% of the time, it can become a useful tool and you can make money. Now, if someone tells you they have an indicator or they have a system that works 100% of the time, run, because either it's not legal or they're not telling you the truth. But these are generally insights and trade setups that work at least 80% of the time. So let me just touch on a couple of these because there's 15 of them, and we just don't have a whole lot of time tonight to go through all of them. Now, the overnight short squeeze. That is when you have the markets close at the top of the last hour of trading during the day at 3:15 or 3 o'clock, especially if there's been good news or bad news. This is an opportunity we try to take advantage of. So let's just say the S&Ps rally from 1960, using today's numbers, to 1965, right into the close, and you usually will find that you've had bad news during the course of the day, like we had that bad GDP number a few weeks ago. Well, what did they do? Instead of taking the market down like most thought, they, of course, once they got everybody short, started taking it up, took it up into the close, and we shorted into that close. So the last hour of trading, a lot of times there's an opportunity to scalp a point or two into the opening at 5 o'clock. And this is one of our favorite trades and one of our most successful setups. So when you have that bad news, it may not even be news at all. It may just be where they had the market down most of the day, the trend was down, and then right into that last hour they squeeze them. How many times have all of us seen that? All right, another one, and you see this often. We just saw it recently. The Monday after options expiration is usually up at least on the opening in the morning. Now, how is that valuable information? Well, you can trade in the Globex on Sunday nights, and if you're trading Sunday night and you happen to be short, and you remember Friday was options expiration, that there's a high probability that the market will open up on Monday, because you still have a lot of contracts and a lot of traders settling, their different positions after Friday's close into Monday morning. It doesn't happen all the time, but, again, 80 to 85% of the time, if you know that on Sunday night you're short, that at some point this market's going to turn around because it's going to start to open towards the U.S. and probably open up in the morning, you can use that information, and it can save you a lot of pain and misery. All right, money management. Now, again, I cannot overemphasize how important this is. If you do not have a good money management system, I just don't think you can make money on a consistent basis. At least I've never seen anyone who has. So what are some of the biggest mistakes we find people make when they're trading and not using a proper money management system? All right, I think all of us know this one. I think this is probably the most obvious, is overtrading. We see that a lot. In fact, I've been guilty of it myself in my career. Trying to hit home runs, especially when you're down, trying to make up losses. We've all done that one. This one, not so much. Withdrawing profits on a regular basis. Now, the reason this is important, it's because it reinforces your efforts and the time that you spend trying to trade and trade successfully. It's kind of like Pavlov's dog. If you reward yourself on a regular basis, you're more apt to repeat what you're doing in a successful way more often. Now, this is probably key to our system, is how many contracts to trade. You either trade too many or not enough, and we see this a lot with some of our folks when they first join us. So I will tell you that the majority of people who join our room and our chat service, they're in there to supplement their income. Guys and gals, if you join our room because you're what I call a trading cowboy. You're doing it for the adrenaline. You like to trade for the action. And, you know, there's a little of that in all of us, let's be honest. But if you're doing it for the action and for, you know, the entertainment, if you will, you're going to be disappointed in our room because we are trying to hit singles. We are trying to be consistent. We try to make a slow and steady 1 to 2 points a day or night. And if you can do that, you can hit your goals. And I'm going to explain to you how we do that. It takes a lot more patience in trading during the day, but you have a lot less risk and it's a lot more consistent. Now, we recommend that even if you're a one contract trader during the day, that you can trade more than one contract at night. And what we normally do is that when we make a recommendation to go long or short, we'll suggest you do it with 2 contracts. Sometimes, as we did last night, we sold 67.5 unit. A unit can be whatever you want it to be, but it needs to be in pairs, obviously. 2, 4, 6, whatever. But let's just use 2 contracts. Last night we recommended they sell 67.5, a half unit or 1 contract. If you're a 2 contract trader, that's a unit. And then later, when it hit 67, I felt more comfortable that it was headed south. We added one on at 67, so now our average is 67.25. Well, about the best you saw all night. It was slow, it was quiet, it was boring, it was like watching paint dry. You know, we got out at 66 during the course of the evening. So we made 1.25 points on 2 contracts, but it was boring, I don't mind telling you. So a lot of times, and this is what we did last night, we took one off at 66. We kept one we call our runner. We brought our stops down to a point where we couldn't lose money. We brought the stops to 68.25. Now remember, we're in a 67.25. We have 1.25 points in the bank. So worst case scenario, we're going to make 1/4 point no matter what happens. Well, you know, after a while, and then we were getting into this ADP number this morning, I knew that when the markets open, they were going to swing based on that number. So we went ahead and took our profit on the second contract at 66, but we were shooting for 63.5. It just never got there, of course. So this is how it works. It's relatively simple. When you join our group, first thing we ask you to do is set a goal. Now let's just use the $2,000 number for now. Most folks that are in our room, that's what they're trying to do, is supplement their income by a couple thousand a month. Let's say that we have 20 trading days average each month. Some nights you're going to lose money. Some nights you should make money. So all you have to do is average. Now, when I say average, some nights you might make 150, you might make 200, some nights you might lose 100, but average $100 a day. And guess what? You're going to make your goal. Now, here's the hard part when we talk about overtrading. When you make your goal, what are you supposed to do? Well, you quit. That's the hardest thing for all of us to do. In fact, it's probably one of the things I struggle with most. I can't tell you how many times I've made my goal at night only to give it back in this crazy market that we see trading during the day with all the volatility that comes with it. All right, so you make 1 to 2 trades a night. You make 1 to 2 points. You're using 2 contracts. It's not hard to find a point or two and reach your goal. So this is what we recommend in our program for NightScalper. You can treat this as a job. You should treat it as a job mentally. Believe me, that makes a difference. You learn the process. You minimize your risk. Don't overtrade. Reach your goal and quit for the day or the night. Also reward yourself with a weekly, monthly profit from your account like a paycheck, because that's you know, what you're in here for, I assume and I hope. All right, now I'm going to come back on and answer questions as I promised, but I'm going to ask Woody, our resident real live rocket scientist. He likes to use that term a lot. It's not rocket science. He's going to come on and go through some of the technical indicators we have in the room that we use, just so you can get a feel for them. So I'm going to ask him to take about, 10 minutes if he can get it done in that amount of time. Do it. So Woody, you're on, buddy.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, let's try again. Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm the only one getting the feedback, but that's all right. All right, I do have a cold, so I might have to clear my throat a few times. Pardon me. All right, we project some indicators in the room, and they represent the foreign market live data, a dome-o-matic, something that we like to call IB levels. That's initial balance. I'll explain more about that later. We have some trigger lines, trade by color signals. Yeah, there is enough volume in the overnight to handle trading 10 lots. Yes, no problem. We have something that we've recently called the river. When we project Bollinger Bands, I don't think we use them that much anymore. We got a volume MACD histogram. Let me show you what the projection looks like. Okay, I'm going to try to put on my drawing tool. Let's see if I can. Okay. So this central area here is a chart. Over here is basically all the data with the foreign markets. You got the U.S. indexes up here, then you got Asia, then you got Europe. You'll see the Singapore and HSI are in here, the yen. We've got the DAX, the FTSE, the euro, a few commodities, gold and oil. We just use these to keep an eye on the other markets. This was something that we were trying out. It hasn't really worked out yet, so we don't use this anymore. It'll be more of this same kind of table up here. We have this chart, graphic. It has volume MACD down here at the bottom, and this kind of gives us a good idea of which way the trade's going to move, in addition to the dome indicator, which you see right here. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we project the time and sales. Okay. Dome-o-matic. This is one of Bill's best indicators. And basically what this thing does is, you can do it on your platform. You add up the contracts for 5 levels on both the bid and the ask side, and you see which one is larger. Whichever side is larger, the price moves in that direction. So if the ask side is larger, the price will move up. That's a positive dome. If the bid side is larger, the price will move down. That's a negative dome. Now, this is kind of counterintuitive to what you might think, but it is the way it works at night. What we have in the room is something that does that math automatically for you. Whichever one is larger, it puts the arrow, takes the larger value, it divides it by the smaller value, and it gives you a ratio, kind of a strength indicator. That's one of the indicators that we project. IB levels. Okay, I'm gonna talk about these kind of quick, but
good day, Mr. Wilson, down under.
CME on 2010.
All right.
About initial balance levels, and it has to do with the amount of movement on the price from high to low
living
in the first hour of the
our
cash market open.
expectations. We thought it would be a narrow trading range again tonight, especially with all the news in the morning and a half day of trading and light volume, you name it.
Once that first hour is established, this value is then processed in this calculation,
be the best time depending on
You
how
find
these
the middle of
markets
it as a
move
pivot,
after
and
the
then we
news
add
in China.
50% of whatever this
So
range from
where
high
this
to low
closes, we're
is to
going to
the
wait,
top and to the
and
bottom,
whatever way it
and
moves,
we
we'll bait
get
it. So
three
let's see
other
if
levels.
that
And these
news
levels are
is up
kind
or
of really
down. We'll
good
see if
pivot
we can get
points.
into a trade. I just
Now,
wanted to
that
touch
was in
base
the
and let you know
CME
what we're
paper,
doing.
and I kind of decided that it would
All
probably
right, any
work on the
questions? Where you
European
been,
and the
Thomas?
Asian markets, and so this indicator that I've created does this for all three markets, Asia, Europe, and U.S. market. Now, the Asian market has a little twitch because the Nikkei starts at 7 and the HSI starts at 8:15.
All right, well, I hope you had a lot of
There's an
fun.
extra hour and 15 minutes in the way that this one does the calculation, but it doesn't seem to have hurt it any.
All right, so
All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. This is a little bit more detailed look, but
that's where we are. Just want to
basically
touch
you
base.
have
Let's
the
see how this
IB
news
high,
comes
the
out.
IB
You see the
low,
news,
the
Woody
pivot,
posted it in the
IB
ring.
pivot, and then you have the 50% extensions. And you'll see that the market often trades to these levels and turns around, and you can use them. We do use them at least in the daytime when we're trading that, and we'll talk about that later. Initial balance, this basically explains what I just sort of talked through. The delta is the difference between the high and the low, and we'd use 50, 100, and 150%. But on big movement days, you can use 100, 200, 300%. And like I said, these are really good pivot points. And they represent today's enthusiasm on the market as opposed to some other pivot points that are projected from yesterday's high, low, and close levels. And they don't really reflect what's going on in today's market, while these indications do. This is our trade by color indicator. If you put it on a really high chart, when the signal line is above the yellow baseline, it stays green. You stay in the trade long. When it crosses the line, you'd go short. You could ride it down to here and then go long again. And on this particular day, back a couple years ago, if you had been able to follow this, could have made like 24 ES points that day, trading one contract. Trade by color, I just explained this, so I don't want to use up that time. And here we are back to Bill's part, and Bill will pick up from here. Any questions for my stuff?
Okay, thank you, Woody. As most of you know, engineers are very detailed people. And you get one that was a NASA engineer for 30-something years, and they will work you over. I tell you, when he first joined our trade room, he questioned everything and challenged everything. He was a handful. But now he's working with us, so that makes it a little easier. All right, so we've talked about the NightScalper trading method. I'm going to throw up a slide real quick about what we do and how we do it, and then I'm going to take a few minutes and answer questions. We have a chat room we call Live Trades Nightly, moderated by myself, by Woody, and another fellow, Harry, who's not with us tonight. Now, these are the returns. I will be honest with you, we've been averaging 400, 500, 600 the last couple of months because the markets have really just been so difficult to figure out. But we'll average about $1,000 a month on one contract. But, you know, these are the performance records that Woody keeps. And as I said, we can help you understand this market. We can help you learn how to trade it. It will make you a better trader during the day, even if you don't trade at night. But guys and gals, if I say anything to you tonight that I know is true because I've been doing this a long time, if you want to learn how to trade futures, the best place to learn is at night, not during the day, because the volatility during the day will just eat you up. So here's the way we do it. All right? And then I've got even a better offer than this once I put this up. So stand by, because there's a big change that's taking place in our chat room. All right, you'll get the 101 course, all the indicators and everything that we have talked about. You'll get all that in depth. You get 30 days access to the trade room. The first Tuesday of every month we have live classes. Just had one last night. Usually go an hour and a half, 2 hours. You can attend that as many times as you want. It's not a one-off thing. Trade alerts that you get via emails, but we're getting ready to probably use Twitter. You get the market times, indicators, trades that I've spent, a lifetime developing. You get these high reward trade setups, what I think for futures are low risk setups. And you get the useful tools and trade signals. It's $47 for 30 days to try this out. Now, you know and I know, if you can spend $47 as a trader and you learn one thing that helps and improves your trading, then your money was well spent. All right, here's the good stuff. We are, as of July the 14th, we are going to launch the only 24-hour chat room that we know of in the world. Now, yes, there are a lot of chat rooms around during the day. There are chat rooms at night, but you don't have people calling live trades, holding your hand, helping you navigate these markets, giving you guidance, constantly in there helping you with their professionalism 24 hours a day. Now, there's going to be some times where there's breaks. For example, from 11:30 to 1 o'clock, is lunchtime and a break. But here's what you're going to get. And you get this for the same price as you're going to get if you just join NightScalper, which is the way we've operated for years. This is brand new. We're starting it July the 14th. You're going to have an online 24-hour trading room. Kicks off Monday, the 14th, as I said, from 8 to 9:30. You're going to have stocks and options. That's supposed to read from 9:30 to 11:30. I'm sorry. You'll have Woody that just got off the mic with you, calling and scalping E-mini trades with his system. Then from 1 to 3, as I said, now from 11:30 to 1 is a break time, and times to just let people's minds relax and try to reset, if you will. Starting at 1 to 3, Harry will be calling future trade setups. Now, guys and gals, these are all experienced traders that will be in these rooms with you. You'll have me from 5 at night to 3 in the morning trading the after hours in the Globex. Now, here's the way it works. It's $47 for 30 days. Then after 30 days, it goes to the $147, which is the same price we charge now for just NightScalper from 5 in the evening till 3 in the morning. So you're going to get, a lot more content, a lot more information, a lot more access to traders. And it's $47 for 30 days. We start Monday the 14th. And it will renew automatically at $147 if you don't cancel, but you can cancel and opt out. It's not a hard thing to do whatsoever. There's no contract signed, or you're not committed. You do your 30 days. You don't like it, then, hopefully we part ways and you've learned something that's useful and helpful. Now, once we get the room up and going, anyone who comes in after the 14th will pay $199 a month. So anyone who joins before the 14th will be grandfathered at the $147 for as long as the room functions. So, all right, those are, that's who we are. It's what we do. And now questions. Yes, Frank, we don't normally care what platform you use, as long as you feel like you're getting good commissions. We have a preferred broker that we work with. We'll be happy to refer it. They use OEC and Ninja primarily. But it doesn't matter what platform you trade on. As long as you're happy with the commissions and it gives you a dome, then you'll be able to use, your platform with all of our setups and trades, even during the 24-hour session. No, if you sign up tonight, Woody gives you access to the chat room almost immediately. Is the E-mini going up tonight? TJ, the way we're playing it is we're going to try to buy 64.5 to 65. 68.5 marginal new highs on the night will probably sell. That's the way we're playing it right now. But with all the news tomorrow, I think it is going to be really slow tonight. It's going to be watching paint dry. Let's see, LW, I think you're asking me, what we do is that so you don't have to sit in front of the screen all night and stare at it, because, everyone has a life, of course. We're doing that, for you. But when there's a change in a trade, we send out an alarm, we make a noise. Woody, if you want to give an example of what that sounds like, we send out a tweet and or an email. We'll probably eliminate the emails when we get the tweets working like we want to. So that's the plan for that. So, you put on a trade or we change the direction of the trade, then, you'll hear it. Just leave your speakers on. You go about your, your night, whether it's watching TV, having dinner with your family, reading a book. We'll sound an alarm to get your attention. Yes. Between the alarms, the tweets, the emails, you have enough time to get in a trade. All right, Frank, I'm sorry I missed your question. If I missed your question, type it back, because, I'm trying to read these as best I can. Frank, to trade at night, because it's a slow market, you need about 500 per contract. So if you're going to trade 2 contracts, you really should have a couple of $1,000s in your account. If you're going to trade with the other guys and trade options during the day and all the other stuff, you're probably going to need at least $5,000, I would think. But just to trade at night, a couple of thousand usually gets it. Okay. Woody, Madeline says she's having trouble with the link. We do have a tick chart, Yvonne, that Woody uses. If you have a smartphone, you should get the tweet just like you do on a computer. Now, someone else asked a question. Let me back up here a little bit. Someone asked, William, you asked if you could trade 10 lots at night if there's enough volume. The answer is absolutely. In fact, I trade somewhere, between 6, 8, 10 contracts. I never have a problem with volume or getting filled. All right, guys and gals, we are excited about our 24-hour room. We think it's unique. We think it's going to be a very interesting place to be, one chat room with access to different traders around the clock. Frank, is there a time at night that is most profitable? Usually, Frank, between 5 and 7 before the Nikkei opens, we'll pick up a lot of our trades. I will say most of our traders in our chat room, they probably trade with us till midnight and go to bed. Only about 30% stay open or up after midnight. But a lot of our trades take place after midnight. Dave, everyone has a different learning curve. Again, if you've ever wanted to trade futures, this is the best place to learn it because it's a slower market. Dave, I'm not familiar, Dave F., I'm not familiar with the codes of the tax system. Are you talking about if you're listed as a professional trader, you get the benefit of tax write-offs. I have a CPA handles all that for me. Yes, LW, you sign up, you can wait till any time you want to, whenever it's convenient. Woody's indicators are will be used in the room to trade. He's working on automating them, and we're not sure how that process will work. That's still a work in progress. All right, William, who knows more than I do about what 1256 is, answered the question, I guess. Now, is that Melissa Sobey? Out of Chicago? How are you, sweetheart? It's good to see you. All right. Melissa, I haven't seen you in, oh, Lord have mercy. Last time you were in Mobile, how long has that been, 5, 6 years? All right, we're trying to wrap this up, so are there any more questions? We only trade the E-mini at night, Richard. That's all I trade because my philosophy is learn one market and learn it well. But you're going to have access to all these other traders and what they trade during the day. So you will have plenty of markets to access if you're staying around for the 24-hour room. Jim, we don't set policy for these traders. These are professional people. They've been doing this for years, and they don't need us to set, standards for them. They are people we know, people we trust, people we know that have good reputations, and they'll call the trades and they'll manage that time space the way they want to manage it. Richard, we currently have, just at night, we have about 110, 120 people, but I'm sure that's going to pick up with the 24-hour room. They're not all going to be in there at the same time. You have 300 people, that sign up for the 24-hour room. I doubt half of them will ever be in the room at one time. The beauty of the 24-hour room and the reason, we have developed that product is because a lot of people say, look, we like you guys, we like your service, we like the chat room, but we can't stay up all night. That's the main one. Like I said, most folks trade till about midnight, and then they, only about 30% of the members of our room stay up after midnight and trade. And we have quite a few Australians now in the room. So, it's their daytime. But, we have a lot of Europeans as well. And we thought it would be good to have something that would appeal to them, during their daytime. So I can't tell you for sure, I can't promise you this, but we don't know of anyone that will have a 24-hour chat room. Now, like I said, there's a couple of hours where someone's not going to call trades, but for the most part, live trading, around the clock. We don't know of anyone that has that product, especially for this price. I know of services that charge $200, $250 for a couple of days a week. So join us for 30 days. See if it fits your style of trading or your lifestyle, your schedule. You will not walk away without having learned something of value for your $47. That I promise you. And I do that because I say that because I know from experience. Frank, we can give you a broker recommendation if you will email Woody at thenightscalper.com. He will refer you to ClearPoint, which is our preferred trader because they offer Ninja and OEC. And if you go, and their commissions are competitive, if you go with them, then we can help you when you have a problem as well because, you know, we network with them. But you can have an account anywhere you want to. That's up to you. So if you join today, it's $47 for 30 days. If you like it and stay, it's $147 for as long as we have a room. And then in the near future, we're going to $199. You'll be grandfathered at the $147. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if there are no more questions, we're going to wrap it up. MR, yes, this is very different from anything they offer at DTI. Like I said, I don't know of anyone that's doing anything like this. Now, as far as the night market goes, it is pretty much the same as when we were at DTI. But the 24-hour room, or the extended room, if you will, that's going to be solved with DTI. There are a lot of the names. For example, I don't know if you knew Silas. Silas is going to be doing the stocks and options in the morning. All right, as I was about to say, we thank you for spending. No, we do not use the same setups as DTI. We just used to be affiliated with DTI some time ago. We thank you for your time tonight. We know your time is valuable. We hope with just this presentation you learn one thing that will help you or give you something that will improve your trading. We hope you'll join us for 30 days and see if you like it. As I said, the 24-hour room kicks off Monday the 14th for the same price as trading at night. FN, again, if you don't know anything about futures, this is the place to learn. It's much better to learn good. We had the chart up, RB. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, that shows our track record from years of doing this. Those are accurate numbers that Woody keeps, our resident rocket scientist, and he will not put a trade in there unless he believes in it, because he'll fight me for a quarter of a point, trust me. MR, yes, it was recorded. William, that is a good point. Haven't ever thought of it that way. All right, guys and gals, again, we thank you for your time. We hope you have a wonderful and safe 4th of July, and we hope to see you somewhere in the future. Thank you.